Hi, this is David Granovsky here with Canadian Nurse. We have Don Davies, the MP for Vancouver Kingsway and the NDP health critic. Thank you very much for being with us today, Mr. Davies.
Nice to be with you, David.
Thank you. Firstly, just want to let us know if you could tell us what your expectations are for this weekend in terms of health policy. I know there'll be some resolutions being debated tomorrow. Just tell us what you're looking forward to tomorrow.
Well, as the NDP health critic, I'm very excited about the priorities that have been set in my area for this convention. We've passed priority resolutions calling on the government and hopefully an NDP government to implement universal pharmacare, to finally realize that second part of Tommy Douglas's dream. We passed a second resolution that I don't think any party has done on universal dental care, which is, I think, a long overlooked part of health, to make sure that Canadians' oral health are taken care of. And finally, in a bit of a tangential way, we passed, I think, a very courageous resolution that was called for by our leader, Jagmeet Singh, calling for taking a health approach to addiction and substance use by calling for the decriminalization of all drugs and instead taking a health-based approach to addiction.
That's great. So you mentioned some resolutions, including the one on drug addiction, and and in terms of medical marijuana, I know you've spoken about that in the House of Commons. Could you just give us briefly your thoughts on this issue and what is happening right now? Is the government working on this issue? I know C45 is dealing with this, and there's some the excise tax is also part of that. So just give us briefly what you think of on that issue.
Well, exactly. Well, C45, the Cannabis Act, deals with recreational marijuana. And we now found out actually this weekend that the July 1 target date is probably going to be delayed by the government because of the Senate holding up the legislation. But equally important is the medicinal side. And I've been calling on the government to treat prescribed medicinal cannabis just like they deal with all other prescriptions and take the taxes off. So medicinal cannabis already attracts the GST, unlike prescription drugs. It is not covered by most pharmaceutical plans, and now the Liberals want to put an excise tax on top of it. So we believe that medicinal cannabis should be treated like all prescription drugs. There should be no tax on it. It shouldn't be taxing medicine. Okay.
And lastly, last question, any other thoughts you'd like to share, any other key issues that you think you're looking forward to being debated, or anything that should be debated in this winter session of the winter session of the House of Commons? Key priorities for you.
Well, at this convention there were a lot of resolutions that came forward on the issue of mental health, and I think that's a topic that in its broadest form ought to be the subject of the government's attention. There were some general resolutions, one calling for the development of a national mental health strategy, but also there were some very specific suggestions, including one to amend the Canada Labour Code to give every Canadian a set number of paid sick days. You know, if you're not covered by a collective agreement or you don't have paid sick leave through your employer, many Canadians have to make the awful choice of going to work sick or losing a day's pay. And if you have a mental illness, that's particularly hard on you to have to fight through that and go to work suffering. And if you have a physical ailment, then often you put your coworkers at risk and get them sick too. So, you know, I would like to see the federal government look at increasing the sick benefits for all Canadians, and also, you know, paying attention to mental health, which is, I think, a long overlooked area of our healthcare system.
Well, Mr. Davies, thank you so much for taking your time out of your busy schedule today at the convention, and all the best, and have a great convention.
Thank you. If I could just say, I want to thank all the nurses across this country who basically make our healthcare system work, and I know their hard work, professionalism, and expertise is a key to making our system so valued by Canadians. So thanks to all of your members.
Thank you, sir. Have a great day.
You too.
Call you sir again.